This is the appointed time. We have a quorum. So let's start the meeting. Welcome to the meeting of the panel on financial affairs. First of all, may I wish everybody a happy Mid-Autumn Festival. Item 1 on the agenda, information paper issued since the last meeting. No paper has been received. The next item is policy briefing by the Secretary on the CE's Policy Address 2025. Let's invite the administration to come in. Let me welcome the Secretary from Financial Services and the Treasury and his team to the meeting. So when the Secretary is ready, please take the floor and start the policy briefing on the policy initiatives of the Financial Services and Treasury Bureau. Thank you, Chair. Members, may I start by wishing everybody a happy Mid-Autumn Festival. I'd like to brief members on the policy initiatives of the FSTB in this year's policy address. We will take questions from the floor as well. In relation to the policy initiatives in the policy address of our Bureau, you will find details in the paper. Let me give you some salient points. First, on consolidating the international financial center status and leveraging Hong Kong's strengths, Hong Kong continued to rank third globally and first in Asia in the latest Global Financial Centers Index. We also ranked the first in relation to a number of items under the index. That shows the international recognition we enjoy. In terms of strengthening the stock market, we have achieved some impressive results this year. We will continue to help tech enterprises in the mainland to go global so as to seek financing in Hong Kong. We will continue to improve the listing requirements for companies with weighted voting rights structures, shorten the stock settlement cycle to T+1, and promoting our market to interested companies for listing in Hong Kong, and also help the Chinese concept stock to return to Hong Kong for listing. We'll also strengthen our status as an international asset and wealth management center. That means we will enhance the preferential tax regimes, and we'll also collaborate with Shanghai and Shanghai to attract more foreign capital to mainland's private capital market. We will enhance the new capital investment entrance scheme as well. On strengthening our status as an international risk management center, in order to encourage the insurance industries to take part in infrastructure financing, we will lower the capital requirements for infrastructure investment and provide concessions for local projects. We will continue to work with the insurance authority in the development of captive business and also reinsurance business. We'll also establish a dedicated marine risk pool. On building a world-leading bond market, we will work with the CMU OmniClear under Hong Kong MA and the Hong Kong Exchange to explore centralized management and cross-collateralization of assets. The SFC is also studying the feasibility of an electronic bond trading platform built and operated by market participants, and also establish a commercial repo market and central counterparty regime in Hong Kong. The Hong Kong MA and SFC announced the fixed income and currency roadmap on the 25th of September, and the People's Bank of China also made an announcement on the same day on expanding the list of Swap Connect dealers and increased the daily quota of northbound trading by more than double to 45 trillion renminbi. And we'll work with relevant authorities to provide more renminbi assets in Hong Kong market, including Treasury bonds, so as to launch the Treasury bond futures in Hong Kong as soon as possible. As for currency market, the Asian size of renminbi government bonds amounted to 23.5 billion renminbi, representing about 20% of our total issuance, and we'll continue to take it forward. On the deepening mutual market access. We will further deepen mutual access between mainland and Hong Kong financial markets. We'll also expedite the inclusion of renminbi trading counters under Stock Connect and REITs under mutual market access. There'll be a new arrangement for paying stamp duty arising from renminbi counter stock transactions in renminbi as well. We're working with the Accounting and Financial Reporting Council and the Hong Kong ICPA to actively promote development of the accounting profession. The operation source requirements will be reviewed. And on the second area, that is expediting the development of new growth areas, I'd like to make 3 points. The first one is expediting the building of an international gold or trading market and promoting commodity trading. Now, our goal is to build a gold storing capacity of over 2,000 tons in 3 years, propelling Hong Kong into a regional gold reserve. Expand refineries in Hong Kong. We'll also study the feasibility of processing supply materials in the mainland to produce refined gold for exporting to Hong Kong for trading. We'll also establish a central clearing system for gold in Hong Kong and invite the participation of Shanghai Gold Exchange to prepare for mutual market access with the mainland. We also support the setting up of a trade association of the gold industry. On commodity trading, at the moment, there are 11 delivery warehouses approved by the London Metal Exchange in Hong Kong, and we will continue to deepen connections with Guangzhou Futures Exchange and other commodity markets in the mainland. The Steering Committee on Commodities, led by the Financial Secretary, will strengthen top-down design and long-term strategy of our commodity policy. On development of fintech, we are working towards the regulation of stablecoin issuers, and we are formulating the details. Before the end of the year, we will conduct a public consultation exercise in the fourth quarter on implementing crypto asset reporting framework of the OECD. Our goal is to introduce a legislative proposal in 2026 so as to achieve automatic exchange of tax information relating to crypto asset transactions with other tax jurisdictions starting from 2028. We will introduce auto reporting and monitoring tools. We'll also promote the Cyberport's AI sandbox to more financial institutions. The Hong Kong MA is developing an AI model evaluation approach, and we'll also expand the FinTech Connect sourcing platform. On promoting the development of green and sustainable finance, we will continue to promote sustainable solutions so as to promote the sustainability standards. On the carbon market development, we will continue to work with mainland regulatory departments and authorities to study issues around our country's participation in the international market, including the formulation of voluntary carbon credit standards methods, registration, trading, settlement of carbon emission reduction. Now, on the third area, that's bringing in and going global and deepening international exchanges and cooperation. We'll attract enterprises and capital to Hong Kong. We launched a company redomiciliation regime for non-Hong Kong companies to transfer their domicile to Hong Kong. We will also promote Hong Kong's platform to other emerging markets such as the ASEAN markets for secondary listing in Hong Kong so as to facilitate asset allocation in the Hong Kong market. Formulate preferential policy packages to attract more enterprises. We will roll out tax incentive and preferential packages. The third point is to serve as a platform for overseas expansion. We aim to attract more mainland enterprises to establish corporate treasury centers in Hong Kong, and we will also study tax concessionary measures. The fourth area is deepening international exchanges and cooperation. We will seek the establishment of an office of AIIB in Hong Kong. We will also hold mega events such as the Asian Financial Forum, which will be held on the 6th and 7th, or 26th or 7th, and also the Wealth for Good in Hong Kong Summit. On supporting the local economy, we will increase additional $30 billion to increase expenditure on works projects in the next 2 years. We'll also reduce water and sewage charges for non-domestic accounts by 50%, and also reduce the trade effluent surcharge by 50%, and also fee waivers as well. As for improving people's livelihood, on the 26th of September, the Legislature approved the subsidiary legislation providing legal basis for Phase 1 proposal of MPF full portability. As for Phase 2, we will consult the Legislative Council next year on enhancing the convenience for enterprises and the public in using financial services. We launched the pilot arrangement for cross-boundary credit referencing last year, and will further optimize and integrate the Shenzhen-Hong Kong cross-boundary data validation platform to facilitate users. Now, as for regulation of licensed money lenders, we will publish the consultation outcome in the beginning of next year and formulate legislative proposals as quickly as possible. On promoting fertility, the policy address announced an extension of claim period of additional child allowance for newborns from 1 year to 2 years. Starting from 2026-27, a taxpayer may claim twice the allowance, and that's $260,000 for each child in the first 2 years following childbirth. That wraps up my presentation. I'll be happy to take questions from the floor. Let me read out the names of members. I would give each member 4 minutes. Question and answer, please. Chan Chun-ying, Johnny Ng, Jeffrey Lam, So Chang-wing, Sunny Tan, Starry Lee, Chan Kim-paul, Carmen Ken, Rock Chen, Ambrose Lam, Wendy Hong, Louis Long. Let's start with Mr. Monique Chan, 4 minutes. Thank you. Now, about relaxing the transaction threshold for non-resident under the new capital investment entrance scheme, the amount has been lowered from $50 million to $30 million. And as of last month, until as of the April this year, 911 applications were approved. Since only 900 plus applications are involved, my first question is whether this will cause market fluctuations. Second question. For offshore renminbi business, as I understand, there will be changes to the books on the issuance of renminbi bonds. Expenses are involved. You need to pay out dividends, for example, and then last week, when we scrutinized a public housing project, I saw billions of funding involving MIC components. So my next question is, how will the accounts be settled in renminbi treasury, renminbi, so as to bring vibrancy to the offshore renminbi business? The next question is about Core Climate. It is an international carbon trading platform settled in Hong Kong dollar and renminbi. Now, it should enjoy advantages, and yet this platform is rather crude at the moment, with only few products involved and not a comprehensive framework on carbon trading. So when will you improve the product types and the financial tools available? Right, for the first question on new capital investment entrance scheme, the policy address has announced an enhancement for transaction price threshold. It has been lowered from 50 million to 30 million Hong Kong dollars. Now, we have taken into account a number of factors. We don't want the local property market to be affected, and we don't want local buyers to be affected either. So we conducted an assessment about the major changes in the past few years, and we have taken into account a number of factors, including possible impact on people's livelihood. So be reassured, before we introduce any enhancement to any scheme, we will always take into account the livelihood issue, because this involves changing the transaction price threshold, and we need to take things in a progressive and orderly manner. We need to take into account different factors. The second question is about income in renminbi and expenditure. This is something we have been actively promoting. We do not have a lot of accounts settled in renminbi. We pay out renminbi for dividends of renminbi bonds, say for social welfare benefits involving cross-boundary initiatives. We may settle the accounts in renminbi. And for procurement, sometimes we also settle in renminbi if supplier in the mainland is involved. But like the member said, we'd like to further expand the channels so as to balance the books. The third question relates to the development of the carbon market. And I agree with the member that we have started to develop the market since 2022, and we have made progress. We started with Vera. That's one of the recognized standards. Now, 20 plus participants have signed up for the platform. Now, recently, we have seen some major transactions involving, say, Cathay Pacific because of the carbon emission in the aviation industry. Our country has also developed its own carbon market framework, which includes deepening collaboration with the international platforms. That's in paragraph 16 and 17. We want to explore our role with mainland authorities so as to further contribute to the country's development.
Next, Mr. Johnny Ng. Thank you. Chairman, I have 3 questions. First, on traditional securities market, over the past 1 year, we see a significant improvement in terms of daily turnover and market valuation. So I wonder how the administration can further enhance the turnover of the market. Say, for example, in the U.S., their traditional securities market is looking into tokenization of securities to offer 24/7 transaction cycle. I wonder if the administration has looked into it. Second, on the new capital investment entrance scheme, as we can see, we have received quite a large number of applications. $3 million out of $30 million has to be invested in the Hong Kong IC investment portfolio. So what is the performance of the portfolio? As the market is generating better return, I wonder if more investors will come, and if they come, that will help with our INT development. Lastly, I'd like to ask about the SME 100% guarantee scheme. 1 week ago, the administration said that the bad debt ratio is 17.7%. The taxpayers have to settle the bad debt, so I wonder if there will be any negative impact to the fiscal position of the government. 3 questions. Secretary. Thank you. Let me first answer the question on CIES, and then Ms. Selina Yan and Mr. Andrew Lai will take the other two questions. Regarding the new capital investment entrance scheme, let me share with you some new figures. We have received over 2020 applications so far. I've just talked about the number of applications we've received. We expect that there will be $70 billion of investment coming to Hong Kong if we approve all of the applications. 1/10 of the $30 million requirement has to be invested into the CIES portfolio. As far as we understand, it's still ongoing. We have hired a few fund companies for the management of the portfolio. And we are matching these fund companies with our investors so that the investment can be directed to INT in Hong Kong. We'll look into the progress. As for the other questions, I will first ask Ms. Yan to talk about our arrangement on the SFC, and then Mr. Lai will address the other question. Thank you. As the member said, regarding the number of IPOs, the turnover, we have made significant improvement. In the first 9 months, the turnover has increased by 126% compared to the same period last year. In the first 9 months, we had 19 new companies listed in our market. The total fund raised amount to over $180 billion. That's double that of last year. We have reported to the panel a series of improvement measures, say, for example, repo arrangement and the listing mechanism improvement. As said in the policy address, we will continue to work with the Hong Kong EX to invite more overseas issuers to come have their companies listed in Hong Kong. These companies include those from the ASEAN countries and the Middle East. We also welcome China concept stock companies to return to Hong Kong and have their secondary listing here. As you all know, we have been exploring enhancement to the listing requirements for companies with weighted voting rights structures. But in terms of the financial arrangement, the requirements on industry innovation, and the ratio of voting rights, we are still working things out with the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. We'll try to see if we can make further improvements to have more issuers come to have their companies listed in Hong Kong. Regarding other fees and charges, especially on information fares, we are still working things out with the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. The last question, please. Regarding the SME 100% loan guarantee scheme, as mentioned, as at August this year, the bad debt ratio is 17.7%. We launched this scheme during COVID. That's why we provided 100% guarantee. And the high bad debt ratio was within expectation. When we sought funding proposal from the LegCo, we expected the bad debt ratio to be about 25%. We only extended the 80% guarantee product under the scheme in this policy address. And the bad debt ratio for that product is very low. The ratio is just 5%. We will keep in view the situation. If there is any acts of scamming involved, we will follow up on it with the police. Thank you. Mr. Geoffrey Lam, thank you. I support this year's policy address. I think it gives hope to our people. in terms of investment and enterprises, attraction, carbon trading, they're all laid down in the new policy address. I'd like to follow up on the new capital investment entrance scheme. More and more participants of the scheme have been buying residential properties. However, the commercial and industrial property market is still quite quiet, and it's difficult for investors to take out a mortgage. I think that's why the market is not as vibrant. I think that the administration should talk to the banks about this. Now, on carbon trading platform, the Hong Kong EX has been working with 2 international carbon credit trading platforms in other places in the world. But I think that the Hong Kong EX should work with more platforms. The US standards is not the same as ours. So I think that we have to not only create our own platform that is beneficial to Chinese mainland companies, but also work with other places. I think that we have all the conditions to become an international carbon credit trading platform. The turnover of the platform of Hong Kong EX is very low, so I think that there's room for us to accommodate more. On the preferential policy package, the Secretary just talked about tax incentives. So what kind of tax incentives are we talking about here? I think that in the package, we should have more bureaus and departments involved. Sometimes land is involved. We need to engage the Development Bureau, for example. After the investors have purchased the land, they may not have other resources to hire people or procure equipment. Secretary, thank you. On the new capital investment entrance scheme, as I said, for residential properties, we have to be careful, but for non-residential properties, we have increased the maximum amount to investment to be counted from $10 million to $15 million. So we have to strike a balance between investment and local livelihood. For mortgage applications, banks will have regards to individual cases, and the Hong Kong MA has been working with different banks and talking to LegCo members on how we can facilitate investment in non-residential properties. The communication will go on. Second, Mr. Lam talked about the carbon market. Carbon market is not the kind of market that stock market is. The core functions of this core climate is to reduce carbon emission for companies. That's different from the stock market. It's not like stock market where when we have more companies listed, when we have a higher turnover, the economy will improve. The carbon credit trading platform is to serve the country, serve a city in reducing carbon emissions. As mentioned, we are going to formulate voluntary carbon credit standards and methods. We want to create more carbon products. Third, on the preferential policy package. We always say that we have to learn how to let go. As we provide tax incentives, we have to look at what kind of return we're achieving. Is it bringing benefit to our long-term economic transformation? Is it helping our labor market? So as you can see in the policy address, we do have a steering committee on the development of Northern Metropolis involving many different bureaus and departments to look into the preferential policy packages. We will continue to listen to the members on this. Thank you.
多謝主席，我支持
Dr. So Chao-ming. Thank you, Chairman. I support the Chief Executive's policy address and the relevant policy initiatives. The Bureau has done a lot in consolidating Hong Kong's status as an international financial center with exemplary results, especially since the Bureau doesn't just go for quick wins. It goes for longer-term benefits, such as bolstering financial infrastructure. The market has also responded positively. I have two questions. First, according to the administration's paper, as of July, 80% of family offices have Chinese background. This is, of course, good news. However, it is also Hong Kong's tradition to be internationally oriented. So my question is, what will be done by the government to promote Hong Kong to the international market? In recent years, we have focused on building trade and economic ties with the Middle East. There are many esteemed family offices in the Middle East, and that I don't see their establishing presence in Hong Kong. The second question is about helping mainland enterprises go global. There are 6 targeted measures, such as promoting the development of the banking sector, green finance, trading, etc. But according to last year's survey conducted by the Hong Kong TDC, the 3 major categories involved in mainland enterprises going global are marketing, financing and risk management, as well as professional services. So my question is, what will the government do to provide more favorable policy environment for these enterprises? Secretary. Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Dr. So, for the 2 questions. Now, first on family offices. For family offices which would like to set up presence or expand the business in Hong Kong, we're talking about some 150 of them. Now, as for their geographical locations, 80 of them are from the mainland or from Taiwan, and we also have over 30 from Europe and the US. So APAC and APAC as well, and Middle East 10. Altogether, we see diversity in the countries of origin. The second question is that according to the SFC, for the AUM in Hong Kong as of last year, we're talking about $4 trillion US dollars. 60% are from Chinese mainland. That means Hong Kong is truly an international asset and wealth management center. And may I also add that against the evolving international landscape, Hong Kong enjoys an advantage as a safe haven for asset allocation, and our advantages are apparent. I thank member for the reminder. We'll continue to work harder in this regard. The second question relates to helping mainland enterprises go global and what services we can offer them. We have financing, professional services, marketing, etc. In fact, in the policy address, you will see arrangements involving different policy bureaus to provide support to mainland enterprises going global, such as the establishment of corporate treasury centers and also the involvement of Invest Hong Kong. So it's a cross-bureau effort. In fact, earlier, I visited some local enterprises in Poland and Slovenia. These used to be mainland enterprises, Japan, or enterprises from Japan or South Korea. But now most of them are mainland enterprises which have gone global. So we've made a lot of progress and we'll continue to showcase our advantage, and we'll also focus on accounting firms which have experience in providing services along the Belt and Road. In the beginning, there were only some 50 firms. Now there are over 80. And we'll continue to listen to views of members. Dr. Sunny Tan. Thank you, Chairman. On behalf of the BPA, I'd like to comment on the policy address, especially from the commerce and industry perspective. In terms of the FSTB's policy initiatives, I think that these are really forward-looking, especially on gold trading and commodity trading. These can definitely provide support to the development of the C&I sector. Now, against global market fluctuations, I am happy to learn that the government will continue to support SMEs through policy measures. Like the chief executive said, our sector is experiencing transformation. We have companies at different stages of growth. They may require different types of financing channels. Some banks may offer loans at the same time in relation to financial products such as stocks or bonds. These come in bigger issuance sizes and the financing costs may be higher. So my question is, what will the government do to help SMEs in this regard? The second point is about going global. We need innovative financial products to help them tap international markets. These enterprises may set up corporate treasury centers in Hong Kong for the purpose of allocation of funds before going global. So we also have medium to large corporations with similar demands. So my question is, in terms of services and products, what can be done to help meet their needs? For example, can we shorten the time for processing applications, and can we make the fees more competitive? Secretary. Right, two questions. I think that in general, they're about improving our financing channels. Now, there are two major avenues. One is direct financing. That's for enterprises to raise funds directly from the market through stocks or bond issuance. The other channel is to do it through intermediaries such as banks and other financial institutions. Now, the member mentioned policy measures to support the smaller companies in meeting the financing needs. In fact, last year we introduced some reform measures in relation to the GEM board, and that we have made changes to the quarterly reporting requirement. Another major reform measure is a streamlined mechanism for converting from a GEM listed to a main board listed company. So you see that we have introduced measures to facilitate financing by these companies. The other question is about the different needs of enterprises going global and how we can better serve them and meet their needs. As I answered the previous question, this requires cross-bureau efforts and joint efforts. Many multinational corporations or enterprises wishing to go global may be stuck at a stage of only investing across a boundary or setting up a production line in another country. But as the business expands, there may be a further need to go global. They may move the management offices to overseas, and they may also go global and become an international corporation. So we need to be able to support them in the provision of financial services. For example, after setting up a production line in another country, this company may have needs for insurance service in order to diverse risk, and that's where the captive insurance business comes in. We provide tax concessions, and we also have rather low capital requirements. It's 1/5 of the capital required comparing to other similar services. So we take a really targeted approach in helping the enterprises. And in fact, this year, 2 new captive insurers have set up presence in Hong Kong. Dr. Starity. Thank you, Chair. I appreciate the work of the FSTB in terms of promoting Hong Kong as an international financial center and improving the stock market vibrancy. My question is on the enhancement to the new capital investment entrance scheme. There are policy initiatives involving family offices and this scheme that meet the different needs of users. This can also give play to Hong Kong's advantages and to help us attract capital as well as talents, especially high-end talents. At the moment, an applicant for new capital investment entrance scheme may also enjoy the tax concessions offered to family offices set up here. Now, there is one problem, however. There is a 6-month time limit, and if you want to include a family office in the application, it takes another 6 months. Our goal is to attract applicants under the new CIES. Is it possible to shorten the application period? Now, as I understand, for those who are bringing the family over, there is an asset requirement, and that the total substantial assets should be not less than $30 million. So is it possible to shorten the 6-month waiting period, and is it possible to expedite this arrangement so that these applicants can bring their family and their assets over to Hong Kong for them to become Hong Kong residents as quickly as possible. The other point is about further enhancements to the listing rules. I earlier made the same suggestions to the administration with Mr. Ronald Chan and Mr. Rock Chan, and I'd like to know if there's any update. Two questions. Perhaps I'll take the question on the new capital investment entrance scheme. As mentioned just now, we have seen progress judging from the applications received. As I said, over 2,200 applications were received. Now, on specific arrangements, such as providing applicants with more information, Invest Hong Kong has been working on this front. It focuses on contacting applicants, and if the immigration department is involved, there will be close liaison as well. I will go back and follow up on some of these suggestions. We have been liaising very closely with the market. And we've also heard different enhancement suggestions. So we continue to review the situation. We need to strike a balance. We need to play the gatekeeping role. And we also need to make sure that any development in the capital or asset management market will bring benefit to the real economy. As for the enhancement to the listing requirements, I'll give the floor to Ms. Yan.
Thank you. I thank Dr. Lee and Mr. Chan for their suggestions. Hong Kong as a listing platform, we have been improving our financial market. Many improvements measures been set out in the policy address. We will work with the Hong Kong EX and the SFC to improve the main board listing requirements. We're looking into double listing and secondary listing requirements. Now we have already allowed companies with weighted voting right structures to be listed in Hong Kong. We will continue to make improvement on the relevant requirements. We are looking into whether there is any room for us to relax the market valuation requirements and the restrictions on the field the companies are in. Our capital market has become a very strong financing platform for our companies, but we also want to attract enterprises of different backgrounds here. We're going towards the direction of streamlining and relaxing of restrictions. As Dr. So said, we have to keep our system robust. We have to maintain our quality as we improve our infrastructures. Please rest assured, we are looking into your suggestions. When we have any proposals, we're going to consult the trade and the market. Next, Mr. Chang Yin-por. Thank you, Chairman. I have to declare interest. I am a director of the Hong Kong EX. I'm happy with this report. Many areas been covered. Stock market is very essential to us. It will bring us more stamp duty and it drives the economy. So I hope that our stock market can play its role. Second, on carbon trading platform. For Singapore, they emit about 2 million to 3 million tons of carbon. In Hong Kong, we emit only 1 million ton. So as mentioned in the paper, the more important thing is for us to formulate voluntary carbon credit standards and methods, as well as the registration, trading, and settlement of carbon emission reduction. I think that the most important thing is to formulate the carbon credit standards that can be applied on the mainland. The insurance companies are concerned about our development into an insurance and risk management center. During the consultation period, we have talked about relaxing of restrictions for life insurance, but there are many still challenges that we have to address. Say, for example, risk charge. Now, all investment products have to be rated. But are the ratings accepted and recognized by mainland companies or regulators? The ratings may be accepted by or recognized by international bodies, but the ratings of our local insurance products may not be recognized by the mainland regulators. Now, I welcome the proposal to lower capital requirements for infrastructure investment. And I also like to ask about the manpower in FSTB. This bureau is so important to Hong Kong as an international financial center. I think that we have to look into whether we should hire more people for the bureau. We cannot give up on our work just because we don't have enough money in the Treasury. Thank you. Secretary. First of all, I thank Mr. Chen for his concern about the manpower in our bureau, given our increasing workload. Under the leadership of the Chief Executive, we adopt a result-oriented approach. We want our financial market to serve our real economy. I'd like to openly thank the Treasury branch and the RS branch. We aren't able to recruit enough people. They have been working on improving the relationship between the legislature and the executive. I thank them for their efforts. The member asked about RBEC requirements. Infrastructure is the same as securities and bonds. Now we are lowering the capital requirements for infrastructure investment to encourage more insurance funds to participate in infrastructure financing. We have already commenced a review with the Insurance Authority on the risk-based capital regime so that we can see more participation in infrastructure financing. The finance industry is here to serve our long-term economy and serve our real economy. That's our goal. The member also asked how we can further promote the development of our financial market. We have the permanent secretary here along with her colleagues. We have been working with the trade and industry to identify the challenges they are facing. Thank you. Ms. Carmen Tan. Thank you, Chairman. The points that New York and London and Hong Kong get in the latest Global Financial Centers Index is different in terms only by 1 point. We lag behind by New York by 9 points only, by when we lag behind London by only 3 points. And I think that's due to the efforts of the government and the industry. I think that we can always do better, however. I have some questions. First, in the policy address, the chief executive talks about our local regulators. They have conferred upon them some other missions to develop our market, for example. We're going to lower the capital requirements for infrastructure financing. We want to expand our supply chain and issue captive insurance. Same goes for Hong Kong MA. We asked the Hong Kong MA to make good use of PBOC Swap Connect. I'd like to hear from the Secretary if new positions been given to our financial regulators. Second, on company redomiciliation regime. Well, on the 23rd of May, insurance companies from France and Canada said that they are coming, and there is also a drinks company saying that they will redomicile their company from Cayman Island to Hong Kong, and that is a company from country. I wonder what the progress is. That's my first question. Second, I'd like to ask about the digital asset. And I'd like to ask about the public consultation result. So will the SFC offer custodian and OTC services? Third, I'd like to ask also about secondary listing. I know that the administration is preparing for China Concert Stop to come back to Hong Kong. Many companies want to have their stock included in the Stock Connect. They wonder, however, if they meet the requirements. I think that you have to leave some time for the administration. Thank you. Secretary, let me answer the first two questions. Regarding the third question on development of digital asset and the one on secondary listing, Ms. Yan will answer that. Now, on the relationship between regulators and the administration. Well, this term of the government does not only look at the short term, we also look at the long-term development of our economy. We also have to look into why we are developing certain areas. That's why we have so many policy statements. We have the disclosure requirements and a roadmap for the development of bond and insurance markets. We want to keep everything transparent for the market. Second, another focus of the policy address is to not only attract investment, but keep them here so that it can boost our long-term development. That's why we talk about infrastructures. The SFC will look into developing a bond trading platform, and we have a central clearing system for gold. On top of that, the Hong Kong MA has an CMU OmniClear. We want to keep the business here, and we want them to use our services and use our infrastructures. Now, on company redomiciliation regime, as at September this year, we have received 11 applications for redomiciliation. by the company's registries, and we have received 370 inquiries on redomiciliation. They cover not just financial institutions but also other companies. We thank the members for promoting our policies so that we can achieve such good result. Ms. Yan will address the other questions.
Digital asset dealing custodian service providers, we just concluded the consultation. We received some 80 submissions. We are analyzing the submissions. Now, to answer the members' question, our preliminary proposal involves having SFC as the licensing authority. It could be another government department, but we believe that it would be more appropriate to have only one licensing authority. We strive to submit the legislative proposal to LegCo for scrutiny in the first half of 2026. Meanwhile, we'll definitely publish the consultation findings, and we'll also proceed to drawing up the legislative proposal. Now, on secondary listing, I see that there are benefits, and of course there is room to make further improvements. And that is why we'll continue to explore the proposal with the Hong Kong EX so as to facilitate secondary listing by either new companies or companies returning from elsewhere, so as to facilitate double listing as well. Next, Mr. Rock Chan. Thank you, Chairman. I acknowledge the work of this government and the FSTB. Especially on measures to enhance the capital market. With the country's strong support, we're finally making achievements. And I'd also like to thank the Permanent Secretary. Now, along with Dr. Starry Lee and Mr. Ronald Chan, we made a number of suggestions on enhancing the listing mechanism for the main board and also listing of companies with weighted voting rights structure. Now, for companies with mega market capitalization, there is a threshold of 25% as public float. My suggestion is, for example, for a company with a market capitalization of 500 billion, can we allow a public circulation size of about 100 billion instead of 25%? Because for these mega listed companies, this already entails a big circulation size. My next question is about an international gold trading market. This is a very good idea. I support it as well. We'll be working with Shanghai Exchange as well. Now, in fact, the Shanghai Gold Exchange is already the third largest. It has a lot of competitive edges. So I'd like to see how we can combine the strengths through collaboration, such as offshore renminbi, so that we have a stronger presence in the international gold trading market, especially in Asia, because our country has a very huge demand for gold, but in terms of international presence, I don't think this is at the moment proportionate. Secretary, thank you for the questions. To answer your first question about public float size, is it possible to create a closer correlation with the market capitalization of the company? At the moment, this is set at a threshold of 25%. For mega companies listed in Hong Kong, they may apply for an exemption on a case-by-case basis. We look at the issuance size, and then we consider whether an exemption should be granted. So there is no express provision, and there is no rigid rule on imposing the 25%. We do grant exemptions. The other point is we need to be mindful about the liquidity in general, because we need to ensure price stability through market demand and supply. We need to make sure that there is sufficient depth and breadth in the market to ensure liquidity. But against this backdrop, we'll see what else we could do. The second point is about complementing the development of Shanghai Gold Exchange. You may recall last year there was a forum witnessed by the Deputy Mayor of Shanghai. We signed a memorandum of understanding with the Shanghai counterpart, and there is definitely room to develop the gold trading market together. In fact, Shanghai Gold Exchange already included gold delivery warehouses of Hong Kong into their list. So we should continue to cooperate because Hong Kong is an international financial center, and we can help increase our country's presence and the influence in the international gold trading market. The second point is about going global, and that's about renminbi, especially offshore renminbi. This is definitely something very crucial in considering products on offer in the future. We'll continue to take views from the market. Next, Mr. Ambrose Lam. Thank you, Chairman. A year or two ago, when Secretary said that support would be given for the accounting profession to take forward development in Shanghai, I really envied the accounting profession. And today, the Secretary briefed us about some concrete plans in this regard. And I truly envy the accounting sector. At the same time, the legal profession also needs the government's support in this regard. So a word of reminder for the government to put in place measures to support the nurturing of lawyers in Hong Kong. The second point is about family offices and new capital investment entrance scheme. All these are good policy initiatives. But in terms of the law of trust, we are lagging behind. We need to improve the legal framework in order to attract more family offices and tycoons from the Middle East to come and take forward development in Hong Kong. Next point, I echoed what Mr. Ronald Chan and Mr. Jeffrey Lam said on developing the carbon market. Core Climate was set up in 2022, but in terms of the pace of development, much more is left to be desired. For example, in terms of the transaction volume, we only accounted for a very small percentage. Even for Cathay Pacific, that deal only accounted for 50,000 tons. So even for a big airline company such as Cathay Pacific, the 50,000 tons is only a very small number. We need to expedite the development to achieve zero carbon emission. We do not have sufficient products on offer. The government should do more to attract mainland or overseas participants. Also need to provide tax concessions and focus on the local development as well. Let me answer these questions. First, to reassure the member, I'd say that the legal profession and the financial sector are closely related. Now, recently, a very high-profile case has emerged involving a mainland tycoon and family succession in Hong Kong. So I can tell you that as I talk to the sector, for many of these family offices or wealth succession, there are many interested parties which would like to set up offices in Hong Kong. We have a very robust legal system. We have judicial independence, and we also practice the common law. So you don't need to envy the accounting profession. We'll definitely help the legal sector as well. Now, the next point is about the law of trust that your comment is noted. We'll definitely continue with this exchange after the meeting. The third point is about the carbon market. Now, it's a very big topic. There are two major categories, mandatory and voluntary. Now, for mandatory, simply put, it's part of the regulatory framework. It's something you must do. But then you need an economy big enough to introduce a mandatory system so as to compel the use of carbon credits. Whereas for Hong Kong, we have a very small economy. That is why we, at the outset, have gone for a voluntary system instead. Now, despite the very small percentage, we go by the country standard on carbon emission and carbon credit requirements, and 90% of them are actually coming from the mandatory framework. Now, as for the voluntary arrangement, because they are not able to introduce carbon emissions in their operations, they need to buy carbon credits. And on the other hand, there are those with surplus in carbon credit, and that's why trading occurs. The voluntary carbon trading market accounts for a small percentage in the total, for sure, and that's the reason. Next, I would like to echo with the member that in terms of deepening and broadening the market, we'll definitely consider more options to help contribute to our country. Dr. Wendy Hong. I have two questions on aviation financing. The policy address is proposed to promote the development of aircraft leasing, etc. I am fully on board with this idea. After COVID, there is an escalating demand for new airplanes in the coming 2 decades. There is demand for 8,000, 9,000 aircrafts, and this is invaluable opportunity for Hong Kong in terms of valuation, financing, leasing, and asset trading, risk management, cross-boundary settlement, legal services, etc. And we can also promote the diversified development of the industry through various operations. At the same time, we have commercial aircrafts produced by our country, and there is a need for us to help them go global. We need to provide the financial solutions. So we should grasp the opportunity and help commercial aircraft companies in our country go global. There are also some high value-added services that can complement the development of aviation finance, such as satellites. The second point is about IP. According to the policy address, the IP financing sandbox will be introduced to help tech enterprises. Hong Kong has the prerequisite to be a regional IP trading hub, and IP financing is the correct starting point. I welcome the policy initiatives set out in the policy address, but I don't think we should limit ourselves to this sandbox and the tech industry. And the tech firms, because for culture and creative industries, they also generate a lot of IPs, these IP intensive industries. So they should be included in the sandbox as well. And according to overseas experience, we need to provide policy intensives so that banks and financial institutions will recognize IP assets as collaterals in granting loans. Our country also offers subsidies. These subsidies could help banks accept IP assets as collaterals.
答第一題目關於
Secretary, let me first answer the questions on aircraft insurance, and then my colleagues will talk about the Sandbox initiative. On aircraft or aviation insurance, from the financial and insurance perspective, we fully welcome it. As mentioned, we are going to create a dedicated marine risk pool on a commercial basis. This may not be entirely the same as that for aircraft, but the financial services follow the market. And we have always been looking into demand of the market, and we are happy to cater to any needs. Hong Kong MA, please. Thank you. The Hong Kong MA and the FSTB are launching an IP Sandbox initiative. Some pilot industries, say for example tech industries, they do have such a demand for IP financing because they need R&D funds, and they find it difficult to finance their projects. We note Dr. Hong's suggestions, and we will expand the markets or areas covered. Thank you. Please observe the time limit. I will draw a line very soon. Mr. Louis Long, thank you. Chairman, in this year's policy address, the chief executive said that we are to strive for a vibrant economy, pursue development, and improve people's livelihood. Many of the suggestions from the BPA and the people have been incorporated. We fully support it. Regarding the policy area under the purview of the Secretary, we support your measures as well. You said that on top of the $120 billion of capital works project, you will spend another $30 billion in the upcoming 2 to 3 years on capital works project. I think that this comes just right in time for the construction industry. Regarding the suggestions that have not been incorporated, well, there are two of them. First, we suggest that the $100 stamp duty threshold be lifted from $3 million to $4 million in terms of residential property. I know that the administration is worried about the tax revenue that is going to be forgone. but that will drive investment. If we can lower the threshold, then we can increase the turnover of residential properties. And in turn, eventually, you may receive more tax revenue from the property transactions. Second, on schemes to help mainland talents to purchase properties in Hong Kong in a closed-loop manner so that these talents can remit their money from the mainland to Hong Kong to buy property. These two proposals have not been accepted. So I wonder if the administration will look into it in the future. Thank you for your suggestions and questions. Both of them are about property investment. First, on further lowering the threshold for $100 stamp duty. The member said that the government is worried about tax revenue. That's why we don't implement the measure. Well, that's just one of the factors. Apart from that, we also have to look into our housing policy. We always try to strike a balance. We also have to cater to the housing demand of our local citizens. So we have considered an area of factors before making our decision. Second, the member asked about the property purchase Capital Connect. Proposed to allow residents of the mainland and Hong Kong to make cross-boundary remittance for purchasing properties in Hong Kong or the mainland. The arrangements could be very complicated. We need to make sure that both regulators on the mainland and Hong Kong support the initiative. That's why we have not included such a proposal in this year's policy address, because there is a cross-boundary element involved, and there are still details that we have to work out. Mr. Evan Wong. Thank you, Chairman. First of all, I'd like to thank the Bureau for their concern of the accounting sector. The Bureau said that they will work with the AFRC and the Hong Kong ICPA to actively promote the development of the profession and to track cases of blindly signing off audit reports or pretending to be a certified public accountant. I thank the administration for addressing the issues. I think that the act of pretending to be a certified public accountant will be addressed, because now the practicing certificate number of the CPA has to be included in the audit report. And with the prevalence of e-tax, I think that this problem will be resolved altogether very soon. The trade see the determination of the administration in regulating the sector. There is another problem, however. Now we have to refer the cases of someone pretending to be a certified public accountant to the police. AFRC, as a regulator, we hope that they will be empowered to combat such cases. I know that the administration is working on it, and I wonder if the administration will amend legislation to empower the AFRC to follow on cases of someone pretending to be a CPA. Second, on the professional development of accountants in Shanghai, we envy the legal sector. They can take an examination on the mainland and practice there. We hope that there will be one for the accountants on the mainland. I know that the government is working on it, and I like the secretary to clarify with us if they are working on it. Third, I know that the administration is working on many different areas to expand our financial market, including introducing family offices, so on and so forth. Well, some 20 years ago, we talked about amending the winding up rules. When more enterprises come to Hong Kong, they may come across financial distress. So how can we introduce white knights into the market to salvage these businesses? Do we have such a mechanism for it? Please leave some time for the secretary to answer the question. Thank you. A short reply, please. I thank the member for his great suggestions. Now, coming back to the first question. On accounting. We try to adopt a targeted approach to combat cases of blindly signing off audit reports or pretending to be a certified public accountant. We have amended regulations starting from 31st of March 2025. The auditors have to disclose their practicing certificate number, and the IRD also ask the tax auditors to provide their certificate number as they sign off the reports. So what happens when there is fraudulent cases? The IRD now can identify any irregularities based on the audit report. Say if an auditor signs off too many audit reports in the same financial year, then the IRD may look into the reports to see if there is any tax evasion. So we have tightened our requirements and we have stepped up investigation. Regarding the second question, Ms. Yan will answer that. Thank you. We did have a legislative proposal on corporate rescue. We try to introduce professionals to help corporate in distress reorganize their business under this corporate rescue proposal. However, back then we did not have a consensus. Employers and employees have diverging views, and they didn't think that this corporate rescue proposal was good for them. As to how we can further improve the winding up procedures, we keep an open mind. We like to continue to keep in communication with the legal and accounting sector. I have to extend the meeting by 15 minutes. Next, Mr. Tan Kapiu. Thank you, Chairman. First of all, Mr. Edmund Wong asked about the winding up procedures. The Labor Advisory Board discussed this. Employees are creditors if the company goes bankrupt. So definitely, please consult the employees when you improve the procedures. Second, internationalization of renminbi. Now, given the complicated international landscape, many countries no longer just rely on the US dollars. And as there is rising tension between the US and our country, many enterprises are going for settlement in renminbi. So I wonder if we have any new measures to promote the internationalization of renminbi. Any new ideas? Second, as we are having a deficit in the government, I think that we have to look into our procurement procedures. It seems that the weighting of price is getting higher and higher in terms of assessment of procurement within the government. Now, given the water bottle scandal, I know that the administration is looking into it. The Director of Audit is reviewing the procedures. So how can we make sure that we buy products that are of value of money, that are safe, that are in compliance with regulations? Any new proposals? Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Well, let me answer two of the questions. The first is about internationalization of renminbi. It's an ongoing initiative. It's not something new in the policy address. There are policy initiatives proposed in the budget as well on the same topic. The member asked whether there are new initiatives. All I can say is that is an ongoing effort, and we continue to roll out the measures, introduce new products, such as the renminbi counter under Stock Connect. And we also promote the issuance of renminbi bonds in Hong Kong. By providing these products, those holding renminbi outside of the territory will have more avenues to invest in renminbi. Now, the other point is about enhancing renminbi's liquidity outside of the territory, and that is why we recently published the roadmap so that renminbi outside of the territory can be used in a cost-efficient manner. And this can help boost liquidity, especially on cross-boundary trading. The third point, on top of liquidity and product diversity, is to improve infrastructure. We need to build a greater connection with other economies, and that is why we have the OmniClear arrangement. We also have a new settlement arrangement for the delivery of gold. So we work on this issue on three fronts: product diversity, liquidity, and infrastructure. Now, on procurement, you may recall that the government has emphasized the actions to be taken with specific details involving the government logistics department. In fact, a third-party independent audit is now being carried out by the Audit Commission. As for the review of policies, Permanent Secretary Mr. Lai is also leading a group to review the arrangements. I think before the end of 3 months, we will be able to come up with a specific action plan. But let me clarify that when it comes to procurement, we don't just consider the dollar sign. We also consider the quality, and this will continue to be our approach in the future. Next, Dr. Kennedy Wong. Thank you, Chair. I need to say at the outset that I fully recognize the work of the FSTB in the past few years. In terms of the security markets, I understand that Hong Kong has signed agreements with over 20 overseas securities markets. Yet not many major corporations from these markets come to Hong Kong for listing. Now, I have a suggestion. The HKIC does not provide special support to the IPO market. In order to make Hong Kong market attractive, will the government of Hong Kong MA consider taking forward cornerstone investment in major markets such as Saudi Arabia so as to enhance Hong Kong's attractiveness? My second point is that local SMEs find it very difficult to tap overseas market. Financing is a major obstacle. Now, there is this BUD fund under CDB to help SMEs promote their brands to markets such as the ASEAN countries. However, on financing, we don't have any support from the government. Whereas for the central authorities in Chinese mainland, they have the Import-Export Bank and also the Asia Development Bank. I think we should set up something similar to help SMEs go global. My last point is that whilst we support developing the international gold trading market in Hong Kong, I want to know whether there is a timetable for furthering collaboration with Shanghai and whether connect schemes will be set up with Shanghai and Shenzhen so that mainland gold investors may also participate in our trading market. Now, to answer your questions, in the policy address, we propose to collaborate with Shanghai Gold Exchange. But we need to work on our own front first. We need to, for example, improve the interface of the settlement system and let the market take shape before we further the discussion with the mainland counterpart. So in terms of market development, we need to make a start before and achieve progress before discussing collaboration with the mainland. But we're not relaxing our efforts. This is something new. We'd like to spare no effort in taking it forward. And we need to make a start first. As for the specific arrangements, this will come as a second step. The other point is the financial tools that the government could use to promote the development of the financial market and help enterprises go global. The HKIC sets its own investment direction, one of which is to promote Hong Kong Nexus. Now, when it comes to Nexus, we may be more concerned about the listing of companies. But like Dr. Wendy Hong said, the more important point is rather how it contributes to the real economy and what it does to help promote economic transformation. So definitely, when considering the investment projects in question, the HKIC will consider a basket of factors. Because even before the Hong Kong IC was set up, Hong Kong already enjoyed apparent advantages in being a financing hub. So we need to cater for the needs of our market and the need for economic transformation as well as the needs of enterprises. And this will be the direction we work in. Mr. Michael Tin. Secretary, I think many would agree that the future of Hong Kong hinges on economic transformation. What can save Hong Kong would be emerging industries apart from the traditional financial sector, and that we will place focus on Northern Metropolis. This will be the highlight of our future development. Last week, I was told categorically that for Northern Metropolis, the original plan was to have a new railway traversing north and south to serve commuters in Northern Metropolis. This project is now put on the back burners. It is said that most of the people working in Northern Metropolis will be living further up north anyway. I think this is nothing but a gamble. Anyway, coming back to my point, if you want to attract businesses and talents, you need to tell others why you excel over Singapore or Dubai. What is Hong Kong's advantage? Northern Metropolis will become a special zone in the special administrative region. So there should be differential tax treatments in the area. Now, I've been told by a friend that there is a company in Singapore specialized in repairing aircraft engines. Now, Hong Kong calls itself an international aviation hub. We also have HAECO in Hong Kong, but it's focused on some low-tech stuff instead of repairing Rolls-Royce engines. So when it comes to attracting talents and businesses, we offer tax concessions. Say if Google has expressed interest to set a presence in Hong Kong, and it's now demanding to have 50% tax cut in the coming 20 years, and that for incoming talents in the coming 5 years, they will be exempted from paying salaries tax. And that means perhaps you can charge them the salaries tax as usual, and then at the end of the 5-year period, they will get a rebate. Will you consider acceding to these requests, or is it commercially sensitive? Secretary. Thank you, Chairman. Well, the member made points covering a very wide scope, one of which is about promoting the development of Northern Metropolis. In the policy address, as you understand, that we have a series of frameworks, committees, and mechanisms to support this development. We need to be confident in Hong Kong's advantages. We have the backing of the Greater Bay Area, our country, and we also have a big market. Now, in fact, I recently visited Europe. As you can see, these countries in Europe are also looking for development opportunities, and what is lacking in Europe is a uniformed regulated market. They do not have one that we have in Chinese mainland. So that's a major attraction for overseas enterprises, especially in the Greater Bay Area. The second and the third point are about policy packages and incentives. Now it comes as a package, such as job opportunities, service quality, Now, we are an international city in terms of tax compliance. We fare very well, and we also comply with international taxation requirements such as the global minimum tax rate. This is the global trend. Against this backdrop, at the same time, we need to provide tailor-made concessionary measures for enterprises. Right, your time is up. Just very briefly. I talked about these deals. Will there be any disclosure at this council or not? If it involves legislative amendments, we'll definitely consult the Legislative Council. Outside of that, we will deal with these issues according to the existing mechanism.
I extend the meeting by another 15 minutes. Now, I have some questions. Generally speaking, I think that the policy address covers many different areas, say, for example, a gold, securities market, so on and so forth. Many people have been talking about uncertificated securities system, but at the same time, how do we make sure that there will not be extra compliance costs to be shouldered by the sector under the uncertificated securities market regime? I also support the fixed income and currency products. We need to also roll out more retail bonds. We want more retail investors participate in the market. In the bond market, there are many restrictions, and many products are exclusive to professional investors. Also on SMEs, for enterprises that are going to be listed in Hong Kong, that plan to be listed in Hong Kong, it seems that the underwriters and other professional service providers have not been covered in the policy address. These are essential. Lastly, on gold. Shanghai Gold Exchange is the only recognized gold exchange on the mainland. How can we collaborate with them? I think that we have to leverage on market forces, and our stakeholders want to participate also in the clearing of gold funds and other business areas. Thank you. Chairman, you mentioned a series of measures we have implemented. I thank you for connecting us with the financial sector. I will reply to your questions in one go. As we develop the sector, we need to cater to the challenges that the trade faces. As we formulate new measures and policies, we always have regard to the views of the trade locally. You talked about many different areas. Now, regarding gold, apart from storage and products, we suggest the setting up of a trade association for the gold industry in the policy address. We see already many market players in the gold industry, and that's why we want to set up a trade association to collect their views so that we can dovetail with national development. We will engage the local industry as we set up the trade association. You also talked about the uncertificated securities market regime. The SFC and the Hong Kong EX, along with our Bureau, have been working with the branch on, say, fees and charges for the regime. As we take the next step, we need to strike a balance. During the last typhoon, the stock exchange did not suspend, and that was beneficial to not just individuals but also corporations. One minute for Ms. Carmen Khan. She'd like to clarify something. Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to ask about paragraph 9 of the paper on the enhancement to the new capital investment entrance scheme. It says that with effect from 17th of September this year for purchase of non-residential properties, the maximum amount of investment to be counted, bracket including residential and non-residential properties, has increased from $10 million to $15 million. So I'd like to clarify if the maximum amount of non-residential properties will be increased from $10 to $15 million, and that's restricted to non-residential properties only. Thank you. For residential properties, only $10 million will be counted towards the total sum. For non-residential properties, if you purchase both, say residential and non-residential properties, amounting to $15 million, and $10 million is residential property, then $10 million of that residential property will be counted towards the total amount of investment. $5 million of non-residential property will be counted towards the sum. I don't really understand, because for residential properties, regardless of the amount and the value of it, only $10 million will be counted towards the sum, because we don't want to affect the residential property market. But apart from residential properties, the investor may also buy offices, and the total value of the properties an investor purchase may be higher than $10 million. So if the total value is $15 million, then the value of the residential properties will be capped at $10 million. So in other words, an investor may buy commercial and industrial properties. Chairman, my apologies. I think that the paragraph is very confusing. It says for purchase of non-residential properties, the maximum amount of investment to be counted, bracket including residential and non-residential properties, so on and so forth. I think that this is rather confusing, because you start the sentence with non-residential properties and then you include residential and non-residential properties in your calculation. I understand the point about the maximum amount of investment to be counted for residential properties. I know that for non-residential properties, there is no lower threshold. Understood. Thank you. I think that you have to rewrite that paragraph. Thank you. Item 3, any other business? This is the last meeting of the panel on financial affairs for this term. term of the Legislative Council. I thank the members for giving us many suggestions for the administration so that we can enhance our competitiveness as an international financial center. I also thank the Secretariat for their assistance. There being no other business, meeting adjourned. Happy Mid-Autumn Festival.